Hey, how's it going? Welcome to the vlog. That's the kids dropped off at school. Morning routine is in full swing. It's the same thing every day. Get up, get showered, get dressed, get all the kids up, showered, dressed, fed, and off to school, and then get coffee, and then up to the charts. So let's get the coat off and have a look what the charts are saying. Hey, so it's about 8:30 in the morning, and actually it's almost 9 a.m. So I'm in a short from yesterday. I took this short about 8:30 yesterday, London kill zone. This was counter 4 hour actually, so it's a higher end risk trade for me because my 4 hour is bullish on EU, very much so. However, after that large push on Friday last week, which was NFP, I was anticipating price to pull lower to at least take out some sell side liquidity below these lows underneath NFP and potentially even come as low into discount of this 4 hour range or even take out the 4 hour lows. If I jump to the 4 hour, we can see first of all what I would class more internal liquidity on NFP lows, because I don't really see that as a defined 4 hour pullback. And then we have this area here of the 4 hour range lows, which I'm anticipating price to come down, take liquidity, and then potentially look at a 15-minute entry model to then go and create new highs, which would make sense for me, as we did something similar over here, although it was internal liquidity and then went to take the highs. But that's what I'm looking at. Now's the time I'm going to go make a coffee, and I've got a few errands to do around the house. One of the projects I'm going to be working on today is just something for myself. A lot of the projects in and around the house are for business purposes because we rent the house out. But this is going to be a home gym in the garage. So I'll take you along for the ride. I'll show you a couple of the pieces of kit that's in there. It's all still in boxes, so it's very much the start of that project. But yeah, let's go and have a look after I've made a cup of coffee. Yeah, this is the garage. It's a bit of a mess at the minute, but walls are going to be scrubbed and painted. I've got gym flooring here, you can see, that's going to go down. And then I've got racks, benches, I've got an air bike. I will have a punch bag at some point as well. So by the time this video goes out, you might end up seeing the finished product. I will say this, February was a tricky month. I closed something like 1.2% profit for Feb. I left a few trades on the table. I was sick. One day I was actually lying in bed all day on a Monday and missed out on a 3-to-1. It is what it is. You can't do anything about that. It's an external force. If you're ill, you shouldn't trade. And then there was a weekend hold I decided not to hold through, so I closed that for a break even. That ended up being a 3-to-1. So I realistically should have ended around 6-7% for Feb, but it is what it is. You've got to then take things with a pinch of salt. This is where your back testing results aren't exactly going to be indicative of future live results, because you can't foresee these emotions and external forces at play while you're doing your back testing, right? But March has been pretty good since we shifted on the 4 hour on EU from a bearish trend to a new bullish trend, which we did call from around the 22nd of Feb. Based on our 4 hour mechanical rules, there've been some nice trades, some nice moves. A few trades that we've had to cut short, manipulated due to high impact restricted news. And then we've got news today. So like in just over 2 hours time from now, we've got core inflation rates. So I'm short and I will be manually closing that about 30 minutes before news. There are some news events that I'll hold through, but the likes of FTMO restricted high impact news events, they're the ones that really move the market. And that's a really good guide. If you go to their FAQ on their website, sign up to their email list, but just pin their FAQ news tab to your browser so you can check in that every single day. You can have a look at Forex Factory as well, but like I say, if you end up not taking any trade when there's red folder news, you end up just sat on your hands almost every day, right? There's high impact news all the time, especially recently. Insane amount of red folder news. But there is some that I've even cancelled trades early due to Fed Chair Powell speeches, testimonies where I've expected humongous candles after a Powell speech, but nothing's then happened. So again, leaving profits on the table. It's just best to go, in my opinion and my experience, off of those FTMO restricted red folder news events. And this is one of them. So I'll be cancelling this short trade regardless of whether I'm in slight drawdown. I'm sat around 1% profit right now on the position, but we've got 2 hours to go until I cancel early, and we'll just see what happens. Wait for news to blow over about 15 minutes afterwards, and then see if we can get any opportunities in New York after inflation rates passed. Home gym is complete. Other than the bag that just needs hanging, we've got the bench, the rack, we've got all the plates I need for now to get started. We've got the air bike for a bit of cardio when it's raining outside. Yeah, so my fitness is something that I've let slack, absolutely, the last number of years. Like I said earlier, and those that don't know, I ran a fitness company for over 12 years. In fact, I spent almost 18 years working in gyms. That's where I first started working, in my late teens, before I was 20. And then just recently, last couple of years, moved on from the fitness industry and went full 100% into Forex space. But I've been so busy, I've had more and more children and launched companies, and work and family have always been my priority. But you've got to make sure at some point that that third pillar, which is your own physical health and mental health, which really your physical health ends up looking after your mental health. It's not really the other way around. I don't think that you can cure mental health without exercise, because like I said earlier, you've got to have some kind of emotional output just to relieve that stress, especially as guys, because us guys, we bundle it all up inside. And when your missus says, how are you, okay, you're like, yeah, I'm fine, when really you're not. So it could be stress of work, stress of trading, financial pressures, anything really, but you've got to have some kind of output. And for me, working in gyms for so many years and owning my own gym for over a decade, the last thing I want to be doing is joining Pure Gym down the road. So I thought, I need to get something of my own. And I've got a little tiny gym now in the garage, so I can take 2 steps out the back door of the house and every other day have a workout, or between kill zones, and just make sure I'm super fresh and on point and in good shape, which is only going to benefit my trading, right? Okay, so it's now about 10 past 11 UK time. So we've got just over an hour until core inflation rate hits, meaning I'm gonna have to be out of this short position, which I don't mind because we are bullish on the 4 hour. I mentioned to you earlier this morning, and I took this short yesterday on the basis that price was likely, I was anticipating at least price to pull slightly lower or even take out the 4 hour highs, which could take a number of days. But with such a high impact news release, which is restricted, by the way, if I just jump over to the FTMO economic calendar, you can see this is a great tool, to be honest. You can just toggle off your low, medium impact news events, even the holidays, although US holidays, UK bank holidays, good to have as low volatility, but trades can present themselves. But with the high impact and restricted news events, you can see they just highlight them in red, so you can't miss it. It does give you a count, that's like 1 hour 20 left until news. Although this trade is not taken on an FTMO account, I'd still rather avoid slippage, right? And also the fact that this trade, if I jump back to the chart, is counter 4 hour. You can see here that since we had a number of breaks, we've been producing new higher highs and new higher lows. So the anticipation is now it's taken internal liquidity, it could go and create new highs. And core inflation rate could well be the catalyst for that increase in volatility. So it's literally very close to break even. I need to do that. and I normally close anywhere between 30 to 60 minutes before a news event. So in the next kind of probably 10, 15, 30 minutes or so, I'll close out. I may even consider just moving my stop to break even. And it's just about preserving that capital and not instilling bad habits by trading through just every high impact news event. Like I mentioned earlier, there is red folder news all the time, but a lot of it doesn't move the market that much. We have moves like NFP, you can see here, is very volatile. And we were long inside of here in Evolution. We closed before for about 0.4, 0.5% profit. And what I was mentioning to the community was the best thing to do is to close out, because this is NFP, it's a restricted news event. You can be right in your direction, but you can still get taken out. And look what happened. If I move this box out of the way, you can see NFP pushed higher initially, then it took all the buyers out, took this liquidity, and then continued in the intended direction that everyone is in. So unless you had a significantly large stop loss, let's say something like, because we were in from around here, so your stop loss would have needed to have been like 18, 20 pips, ideally 20 pips. And if you've got a 20 pip stop loss on that, it's just taking longer for you to get any profit. You could have got a 2-to-1 out of that, but still, that's just one scenario with NFP. It's just best not trade them, right? So use that FTMO economic calendar, sign up to it, or just use this, pin this to your taskbar at the top and check it every single day. You can see what we've got tomorrow. See, it's a pretty clean day tomorrow. There's some high impact news around dollar and pound, but you can trade through this. And although it will cause some movements in the markets, it's unlikely to be as impactful as these core CPI events, right? So we'll see what happens. I'm gonna go head in the car and get some lunch now. It's coming towards the end of the morning for me. And after I've got some lunch, I'm gonna go and make a start in the garage gym. And I'm looking forward to getting that project on the road. It's been a while. For those that don't know, I was a personal trainer for many years, and I actually had my own fitness company, my own gym, personal training studio for over 12 years. I worked in the fitness industry for 18 years, but I didn't really consistently work out for the majority of that because going to the gym felt like work to me. So once I sold that business and moved on, for me, the idea of joining a gym would be very different to the perspective that most people would have. It would feel like work to me, and it would just bring back loads of memories that I don't really want. So having a gym at home is great because it's just me, just music and just the kit. And it also means that there is no excuse because I can just step out the front door, open one key, and I can be in the gym. And I can do that every day if I wanted to. Even if it rains, doesn't matter. I don't need to get in the car. I don't need a membership card. And you know, it's just, there's no excuse for it. So I'm looking forward to the next 12 to 24 months, getting back into shape. I feel like I've let myself go from a fitness perspective. But yeah, let's go jump in the car and get some lunch. And I'll decide whether I'm going to close this out in the next 30 minutes or not. Right. Let's go get some food. I don't always eat out, but probably once a week we'll either go out somewhere, me and my missus, or if we're a bit strapped for time, I'll just go out to the local cafe. It's quite a decent one around the corner in the village where we live, and I'll just get a bite to eat and bring it back, which is what I'm going to do today. Support local business and all that. So, yeah, I have 4 children. For those that don't know, my eldest, who's moving into that new bedroom, is going to be 15 this year. So she's at secondary school or high school. And then I have a 11-year-old daughter. She goes to a specialist school. She has special needs. So after a long battle, we managed to get her into a specialist school just less than a year ago, so she's in a very good place and she loves it. I have a 4-year-old who is at primary school, which is in another direction, And then my youngest daughter, who's almost 2, she's at nursery and she just half days at the minute. So I drop her off at like 7:30 a.m. and then my partner will go and collect her at 12:30. So hence why a little strapped for time today, as it's nearly 12 p.m. So just going to get a bite to lunch, get a bite to eat, should I say, and then should be going to pick her up. Got to be careful on this road. They've just installed speed cameras, like literally a week ago. So I've got to be extra careful. Someone's trying to squeeze through, probably not parked in the best place. But yeah, I'm going to head inside, get some lunch, and then I'll catch up with you when I get back. I have about 10 minutes before I decide what I'm going to do with this EU short. I'm not going to put it on a pedestal. I already moved my stops to break even, so if price just taps me out, then it's no win, no loss. With news in 40 minutes, I usually cancel no later than 30 minutes before the release, so I'll likely manually close. I don't want to be slipped. Even when you move your stop to break even, you can still get slipped. It's about utilizing that risk management strategy. Whatever you would do in your trade plan, whatever you would do in a backtesting scenario, is how you should try to emulate in a live market situation. And with a news event like core CPI around the corner, you don't want to mess around. Right, back home. Okay, so that's core CPI done and dusted. Yeah, I'm out for break even on this, or just slightly over. I actually cancelled just pretty much bang on 30 minutes before the release. So, I mean, I'm going to call that a break even. There's no point in even calling that a profit. Had I stayed in, I'd still be short now, yes, but then, like I mentioned earlier, that's instilling bad habits. I will hold through red folder news, but not restricted events like core CPI. Same thing happened, or similar thing happened NFP Friday, where I mentioned I was long, and a lot of the evolution markets community were also long with a 15 pip stop, would have hit TP, but after taking you out for a loss. So you can be right in your direction, just like today. I anticipated that price was going to push lower, and I've had that anticipation the last 2 days. Core CPI pushed lower, it took sell side liquidity, it then pushed higher, and it's pulling lower again. So I might be right in my direction again, but it's about risk management and knowing what your rules are and when you're going to bend those rules, because it's going to instill bad habits. So like, for example, on Friday, I closed for a 0.4 profit. Today I've closed for a 0.2, something like that. I'm going to call them both break evens in my journal, but this is what it's about. It's about capital preservation, first of all, and just knowing that there's certain news events that you can't or shouldn't hold through, because this could have easily have done this, and I would have had probably 1% slippage. If I'm risking, I was risking 1% on this position. If I get slipped on that, I could be slipped easily an extra percent. The 4 hour is bullish also, and it taken internal liquidity twice. It could have then gone and taken new highs straight afterwards. So I would have been wrong in my direction. But it's just about knowing what you're going to do before you even execute that position, especially when it comes to these restricted news events. So I'm break even on the week so far, and I'm 3% up on March because I had a trade that I held from Monday the 4th, if I just run through this. And this was on anticipation that 4 hour highs are going to get taken. We had sweep of Asia lows, sweep of a nice defined 15-minute liquidity, and a retrace inside here. My entry was off that candle. Had a 15 pip stop. And this one you can see I held through a news event, but it was not a restricted event. Services PMI. We see a reaction, but it's one that I'm happy to hold through and get TP after a couple of days holding through. So a 3%, I had a break even pretty much here, a little bit of profit, break even today, a little bit of profit. I did actually go long this morning as well. So including a little bit of profit on here, I'm probably like 2.4, 2.5%. This was entry here. And this was yesterday on the assumption that 4 hour may continue after taking these Asia lows out. Didn't play out, that's absolutely fine. Full 1% risk on that and a -1. Typically 45-50% strike rate with a 3-to-1 risk to reward ratio is good. You're gonna see profitability. We trade off the 15 minutes, higher time frame, it's slower. We can take anywhere between 2 and 4 trades a week, especially if looking at counter 4 hour positions, which is more advanced and is more of a risk taking opportunity, but that's where I'm at. I'd rather take that extra risk. For me, I don't put a funding account on a pedestal. I don't put drawdown periods on a pedestal. I don't get emotional. I used to, of course, we've all been through that, but I've had enough skin in the game to know that a large enough sample size will be the important factor. If you take 3 or 4 losers in a row and then you hit 1 3-to-1, you're pretty much back to starting balance. So it's really nothing to be emotional about. But yeah, that's pretty much a day in the life for me. I mean, it's only 1 p.m. now, but that's my trading day done. I'm not about to be jumping into more positions. Core CPI has given us some huge candles. Also, 15-minute is now creating bearish trend internal. So we could still be heading towards this 4 hour low, which I have been waiting for a couple of days. Actually posted this on my Instagram story on Friday. May not, of course, but it's heading in that direction at the moment. And I do think that's probably short term anyway, because once it gets down here, it's probably going to take that liquidity and push higher, but we'll just see what happens. But yeah, within 2 hours from now, my kids will be home. So I spend like three solid hours with my kids, make sure we eat together, we spend some time together, we reflect on their day. And I'm just make sure I'm there to put them to bed at night. And then there's time for me and my partner to relax. I will be on my phone on socials for about an hour or so this evening. I like to catch up with socials in the evening. And then we come back tomorrow morning, we do it all over again. So let me know if this is something that you'd like me to do more often. Quite enjoy doing the vlogs. It's quite time consuming, but I think it's worthwhile you seeing more transparency and more how I run my day-to-days. I'm not driving Lambos, I'm not on yachts in Dubai, I'm not taking private jets at the weekend. You know, I pretty much spend most of my time at home. This is the thing, it's about systems and processes, and I like my habits. And that way you can stay consistent in your trading because you stay consistent in your daily processes and systems. But yeah, thanks for watching, and let me know in the comments if you enjoyed, and I'll see you on the next one.